Hey there, Adam from Splendid Sports, back for another edition, the 12th one of 3 and 3. And I'm so happy to be joined by Don from Don's Field of Dreams Cards. Hey, Don.
Hey, what's up, Adam? How are you?
Good. We both got our Stan Musial shirts on.
We're matching. It
I
wasn't
knew I had
planned
to
either.
wear it. I had to wear it if I'm having Don on.
Yeah, and this is a gift from Rick Oddball Cards at the National. So support
Nice.
my friend.
If this is the first time catching a 3 and 3, what we do is we look at first three of Don's favorite cards in his collection, and we'll talk about why they're three of his favorite. And then we're going to look at three cards that he hopes to add to the collection in the future. But before we get into the cards, I wrote down a couple little bullet points that I wanted to go over with you. First, I had to get one thing out of the way first, though. Jake Legends Never Die, who I had on,
Right.
he recommended you, along with a lot of people recommended you and mentioned you, but it was imperative that I referred to you, even though this is the first time talking. So I
Right.
hope it's not an insult or anything, but
No, I know exactly where you're
referred
going
to you
with
as Donnie Livestream.
it. Right.
Donnie Livestream, can you explain to me what the meaning of?
So at the National, so Jake flew into Pittsburgh and he rode out with me along with Bob Lewis and Scott Rendier Studios. So we spent about 5 hours in the car and we had an Airbnb and they were all teasing me that I'm always on live chats. And if you think enough of me to invite me to go on your live chat, I will absolutely go on it. I've never said no because I think it's an honor. Just like you having me on here, it's an honor. I feel if someone takes the time to ask me and they appreciate what I do, like I'm more than happy to go on. But ironically, I have barely been on any live chat since the National. But all my buddies that we stayed with are like on constantly. So the nickname is kind of doesn't quite fit anymore. And there's a text chat of the guys we stayed with, so we all tease each other like Ricky live chat, Johnny live chat, Georgie live chat. So that's where it came from. And Jake is basically just jealous.
And he mentioned that you tease him because he collects raw cards and he teases you back that you
We
entomb your
do,
cards.
and I don't know how this got started, but we do. And I mean, technically, I'm old enough to be his dad. I think I'm almost 30 years older than Jake, but we get along really well. And he stayed at my house after the National. And actually, I sought him out because I bought a Stan Musial autographed baseball at the National. And I'm not an expert. It's the first one I ever bought, and actually the only one I own. And I seek Jake out because that's one of his expertise. But there's a lot of guys on here that we just bust balls. It's just kind of the old saying is like, if we don't make fun of you, we don't really like you,
Yeah.
but if we make fun of you, it means we like you. So I really don't know how it got started. I don't remember, but we both give each other a hard time over our.
And the other thing I've noticed is you are part of an illustrious group called the Misfits.
Right.
Now, explain to me, because my like a misfit for me is like I think of you as the opposite of a misfit in this community where you're a beloved person, everyone mentions you, everyone loves you. You don't seem like a misfit to me. So what did that
I
mean?
appreciate that. I don't know if everyone loves me, but it all started with going to the National that John Mangini, Lou from Lou Rock TV, and James, the lead hunters, were talking. And I had met James at the National before, and I got in contact with those guys and was like, "Hey, do you want to get an Airbnb?" And then we invited Rick, and I invited a couple other guys, but they couldn't make it. And Rick and George and Bob Lewis, and so we just got on this chat that's been going on for over a year and a half now. This text chat, I have to keep deleting it at some point because of all the storage it takes up. And John Mangini came up with the name Misfits. Well, I'm not one to like have cliques in a group, and that's not what it's meant to be. Because I have so many friends outside of that. It's I hope no one looks at it that way and it's like, oh, look at these guys, they're a clique or whatever, because we're not. Um, it's just a joke, and it's kind of spread through YouTube. And John said we're a bunch of misfits, and we're going to bring us all together, and that's where it came from. But we actually are a lot more alike than we are misfits, to be honest. But we all stayed at the National at the Airbnb, just had a great time. And Jay came to our house, and Scott and Eric Forleaf were there every night. And some other guys showed up. So it was just a blast.
Well, in a way, all card collectors are kind of misfits, just in society,
Absolutely.
because there's not
Right.
that many of us. But yet on YouTube here, we can all connect and everyone, kind of clicks together. So it's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
no doubt.
Now, before we get into these cards, obviously Stan Musial, you're a big Stan Musial collector,
Yeah.
big fan. Anyone who's watched your channel knows that. But what else, like if you were to have to say like the main focus of your collecting, what would you say it is?
I'm also a big Clemente collector, so I have a lot of his cards. They're the two main guys I collect, and the rest would be Hall of Fame players, and it's typically their playing day cards. If you look behind me, that's the 56 set. They're all Hall of Famers. This room is the room's not new to me, but it's new to me as a baseball card room, and so I am in the process of making some more shelves, and I will eventually show this room when it's done. And someone had a good point. They were like, "Oh, you think your wife gave you a room? She's just hiding all your junk," which is right. But I'm really into Hall of Fame players and vintage. I mean, I will collect a newer card if they're in the Hall of Fame, or like Pujols, Cabrera, Ichiro, who I'm pretty sure are going to get in. I'm picking up some of their cards. I will buy boxes to break, 1 or 2 a year, just because I like breaking cards. But it's mainly vintage, and it's mainly football or baseball, not football. What am I saying?
I was going to ask that. Is it?
No, I don't collect
any other sports?
Baseball.
But you're probably a football fan, right?
I'm a huge college fan. I went to Penn State, so I love my Nittany Lions, and then I'm a Steelers fan as well.
Nice. All right, well, let's get going into these cards. If you're ready, I'd love to see like the first one that you got.
So this is really hard because probably my 3 favorite cards I've shown so many times. That's like, let's give them a break, but I had to include one of them. And then there's one that has sort of a family aspect to it. So the cards themselves aren't that exciting, but I think the story's cool. And then I do have one that I've only shown once. I thought about showing Scott's artwork because honestly, that's one of my favorite pieces, but kind of shown that a lot too. So the first one I went with is a 1953 Stollmeyer Roy Campanella. And this, I don't really have any rare cards in my collection. I have some valuable cards or cool cards, but they're kind of easily accessible, except for this one. Like maybe 20 of them graded. And I learned about this card through the YouTube community. I didn't know anything about food cards except for Kellogg's and like Twinkies, Hostess. And it's a 1. I don't know if you can see with the glare, but it's got some wrinkles and some wear. But I didn't care because this card is so hard to find. And I'm doing a really bad job of getting rid of the glare here. But this is a famous pose. There's a couple of his cards that photo is taken from. So this is probably one of the most unique cards in my collection. Really trying to get rid of this glare. It's horrible. The computer's like bouncing back on us.
Yeah, that's all right. I got a good view of it. That is the Stollmeyers, man. What a awesome set that is, man. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and I was surprised when I got it. I didn't realize how big they were. I thought they were the size of a regular card. And like if let me find a card here. Like here's a regular baseball card versus I've done a very good job, but you can see. Yeah, you can't really tell, but it is much bigger. Yeah, so this is one of those cards that to me is it's one that I would hold on to for almost ever. And I learned about it through YouTube. Those guys that do the food cards. Like I said, I had no idea about this card, and was really excited to get it. And I've only been to 2 nationals, and I haven't seen this card at either national. And when everyone says, "Oh, if it's not at the national, it doesn't exist," that's not true.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That Campanella is one of the, so I'm with my collection. I'm in the process of like, I have too many cards of like the same players.
Right.
So what I'm trying to do is like I super collect Mickey Mantle, right? So I'm cool with getting as many of those as I can, but with like players that I'm not going to like do a complete run with or try to get every one of the cards, like Stan Musial, like Ted Williams. So what I'm trying to do with those is just get maybe like 1 or 2 of like my favorite cards of theirs, and then branch out. Cause like Campanella is a player, I'm like, I don't have any Campanella cards. And
Oh,
I'm like,
really?
there's a lot of gaps, and players like that I am a big fan of, but I just, for whatever reason, I went too heavy into certain players, and now I need to kind of move some cards and put some of that money towards cards. Well, not that card because
Right.
I could never find it, but
Oh,
like
he still has some other great cards, like his 52 Bowman, which is that close.
Yeah.
I've kind of been doing that. Like I collect certain year, the Hall of Fame set, and I'm close to finishing the 50 Bowman. But then I was looking, it was like the guys I need, Joe Gordon, Red Shandinst, Johnny Mize. Like, do I really want these cards? Like, do I need to finish the set that bad?
Right.
Like, I have the guys I really want. And like, I don't really want these guys. I just want to say I have the set finished for Hall of Famers. But then I'm like, well, who do I have to prove that to? Like, who cares? You know, it's like my wife doesn't care, my kids don't care, no one on YouTube cares. It's like, you know, like sometimes I think we all do that. You know, like I will collect PSA and SGC, and there's certain guys that are just like PSA only, and I get it. That's kind of how I am with these sets. It's like we're weird that way. It's like we got to finish. We're completionists.
I'm like that. I started doing a little more with the PSA set registry, which is
right.
If you I mean, it's fun, but like it definitely wastes your money. Like in a lot of cases,
no doubt.
Like,
well, that's what I'm going at with these cards. Like,
yeah, I got cards that are in SGC holders, and I'm thinking like, oh, I don't get credit for that on the PSA set registry. I'm like, who the hell cares? You know, but I do care, even though I shouldn't. You know?
I know what you mean.
All right, let's go card number 2.
So I'm cheating a little bit because I'm going to show 3 cards here, but they're all related. They all have the same last name, Sadowski. And my dad was not into baseball, and he didn't collect cards very much. And my last name is Kulikowski. So you're going to see the connection with the ski here. And like when I say I'm from Pittsburgh, I'm from the suburbs. You know, I'm not in Pittsburgh. My mom and dad grew up in Pittsburgh, and my dad was from a very Polish area. And the last time I had a real conversation with him before he passed away, he was talking about these 3 major leaguers that he grew up with, and I had never heard of them. And the one was Bob Sadowski, his brother Ted Sadowski, and his brother Ed Sadowski. These cards aren't worth very much, but my dad actually knew these 3 guys. They grew up in his neighborhood. They were 3 of 12 kids. And at my dad's funeral, I had pictures of these online, and after my dad passed away, I went and bought them because it reminded me of the last conversation I had with my dad. My uncle was like, you can still buy cards of those guys? Like the whole idea of eBay and cards from the 60s and 50s like blew his mind that I was able to purchase these cards. So these guys will always be in my collection. My dad used to go to lunch with one of these guys. I forget which one when they were retired. And I never knew this. Like, you know, my dad I'm 55. He was 93 or 4 when he passed. And he had never talked about these guys. And to me, it was just such a cool story. And that's why I combined all 3, even though it was 3 cards, but I think they kind of count as one almost because of the story. So these cards just mean a lot to me just because of my dad, you know, having that conversation with him. And even, I think it was either Jake or John Wade Boggs fan. They both seen my collection. I forget which one it was. And they were going through my cards, and these 3 came up, and they're like, why do you have these cards? And then they're like, oh, yeah, because I did make a video right when my dad had passed a year and a half ago about that. And he's like, oh, now I remember. So I wanted to include something that had a personal meaning to me with the cards. Not my 3 best cards by any means, but there's a story to them.
And for me, that makes the best cards is the ones like that mean so much for a different reason other than it's worth X, you know, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, they don't mean anything to anyone else, but to me, they do. And I think we all have cards like that in our collection that means something to us. And, you know, that's what I love about this community is like, you know, a lot of these cards that I show you've seen before, but I haven't heard the story behind that. And that was one of my fears going in before I started this channel. I was like, I don't have anything that anyone's ever or has never seen before. That was one of my drawbacks. And then I just got some encouragement and went and did it. But now it's like, it's not about the cards. It's like, why do you like that card? How did you get that card? Where did that card come from? What's the provenance behind it? So,
and then you get to know you by you telling the stories about the card. So you're right. It's you hear like it's about the cards, but really no. I mean, in a way, the cards are just kind of in the background for a lot of because we've all seen the the 56 mantle. Everyone's seen those cards, but adding that personal touch to it that's what makes it fun.
Right.
So. All right, that was beautiful. So let's go number 3.
All right, so number 3 is one of the cards I said I wasn't going to show because I show it all the time, but I love this card so much that I don't care. I'm going to show it again. And I have a running joke with my buddy Scott Reindeer Studios about this card. I'll text him a photo. Do you have this card? No, and he doesn't. And I think he showed this as one of his cards on your channel that he wanted. And I've actually sent pictures of it like this, pretend I was asleep to him, like this person, hi, Scott, good night. Man, if I could only have one card in my collection, it'd probably be this. And that's my 1949 Bowman Satchel Paige.
Ooh, wow.
I absolutely love this card. I still can't believe that I have it. It's one of those cards that I never thought I would have. And eat your heart out, Scotty, buddy.
I'm eating my heart out too.
He'll get one. I just told him to keep drawing some more drawings, and he'll get one of these. But he only has 3 cards, at least in the main genre of cards, and I never get tired of looking at this card. So even though I've shown it so many times, sometimes why not? It gave me another excuse to share it.
God, I love that card. That is the 49 leaf is I changed my mind a lot, but it's probably my favorite set of all time. But the 49 Bowman is my favorite Satchel Paige card. I like it even better than the leaf.
And the 53. I have the 53. I don't have the leaf. And the 53 is a great card. And so is the leaf. The leaf is kind of looking down.
Right.
And I did a video a while ago on actual photographs that these cards came from.
Yep.
And this was one of them. I just love the turquoise with the navy blue and red hat. And when I very first found Bowman, I didn't love that it was black and white with the color around him, but that doesn't bother me at all anymore. So this is probably my favorite card. Not my most valuable card, although it's up there. But I don't really care about that. And I only know it's a 3 because I'm looking at it right now. If you would have asked me before I showed this, I wouldn't have known the grade. I mean, I knew it wasn't up there, but it's pretty nice for a 3. And these cards are very hard to find centered. So
that's an incredible one, man. Like with that card, who cares about the grade? You just want get one. But that's a really nice copy.
And I got this at my local card shop, and the guy gave me a good deal. And I still go in there once in a while, and he's like, I still miss that satchel. And I'm like, I know.
All right, so let's go. Let's move into the 3 cards that are, or 3 of the cards that are on your want list.
Right.
Now, you sent me this list ahead of time.
Correct.
The first one, so I'm not sure. Is it rubbing it in if I show the card?
No,
I did this to Mike. Mike.
And now he bought one. Did you see he bought one the other day?
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything to do with that, with motivating him. Probably not, but I'll take a little credit.
Well, I knew he wanted that card. So he's one less guy I have to compete with because it seems like everyone on your show wants this card.
Right.
So, man, the color, that's probably one of the best ones I've ever seen. That and Drew, the Drew Vintage Legacy. I don't know if you're familiar with his channel, has a really great copy too.
I have to check. I've seen his channel, but I have to check that out.
The back of his has some paper loss. I think it was in a scrapbook, but the front looks great. So I think his and yours are the 2 best of the ones I know of on YouTubers. And I knew Mike was looking at that card for a while, and I picked cards that I reasonably think I can get. There's some cards I really want that just aren't going to happen, and that card's pushing it for me to get. But being a museo lover and collector, like, how can I not have that in my collection?
Yeah, that's for me.
I lived through you and my shirt on that card.
What I was going to ask you, so like there's obviously in our shirts, and the one that Mike got, I saw has I guess you'd call it the baby blue or the Carolina blue background,
Right.
where this one is like a real like a darker blue. Do you have a preference, or don't worry, you won't offend me either way, but do you have
No,
like if it's the same price, would you go with one with a lighter blue?
So I'm not a big fan. I don't buy cars with creases, except for this one, because I just don't like creases on cards. So that's my snobby end of it. Not so much the centering corners. So on that card, long as it, like, some of them are so off-centered, the registry is so bad, his head here is like over here.
Right.
And long as it's not snow, like I don't really care between the dark and the light, just as long as it looks nice. Like, if the card looked like this shirt, I would love it. But then I look at your darker blue, if you can put that card up again, if you don't mind. That's just beautiful, Adam. Like, that is so nice.
This was a big purchase for me. That
was that an eBay purchase, or did you?
It was no, you know what? It was through PWCC.
Okay.
Which I do most of my stuff on eBay, but I did a lot of shopping and looking at different ones, and what did it for me was just the dark. I love again, I'll take any one I could get, but this one is just the coloring.
And what's really the on it, a 4? Like that?
Yeah, it's a 4.
I mean, how much nicer can you get than that? It's like, I guess you can, but geez.
It would almost feel weird if you got something like that much nicer,
Yeah. That's like have you seen, what is it, the Black Swamp Fine? Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Like they look fake. They look so good.
Right. Yeah. So, this is one of my best cards, one of my favorite cards, and
I can see why. That's one of the best examples I've ever seen.
I think Mike said it. I don't even know what the grade was on his, but he got it for about $1,500 at a show. So it's expensive, but you can find them, and it's not like you're not looking at $10,000 or something like crazy like that. So
some of them are, but yeah.
Right. Well, if you want to go real high grade,
but I'm okay. I just want to be one in my collection. It's like the Bowman rookie. I don't love that card of Musial. It's one of those cards, again, it's like, kind of got to have it if you're the Musial guy.
Yeah. Especially now that this is like we're all, I didn't know, but a lot of people did, but this is technically 49 leaf. So is the Bowman the rookie, right? Is that his only rookie card?
I mean, according to Dave, and it makes a lot of sense what he said. I know Dr. Beckett kind of disagreed.
Yeah.
But Dave made a lot of sense on what he was talking about on that. I think it was with Mike.
Yeah.
That he did that. Yeah. So.
All right, let me pull up. You sent me the list here. So I got the second one. Let me just share the screen. There we go. All right, so this one here, number 2 was 1952 Bowman Yogi Berra. I just pulled up in Card Ladder, one that recently sold back October 4th, SGC3.
Yeah, and that's about the grade that I'm looking for in that card. I love all the Bowman cards. I just, I think it's 50 Bowman's the best, but I already have that one. But I love that card, along with his 52 Topps. I think there's some players, to me, and Yogi's one of them, that just have a run of great cards. And then there's other players that's like Willie Mays, for example. Like, I don't love all his cards. I don't like cards where they don't have the hat on, or I think it's the 65 Ernie Banks where it's a side profile. I just, a beautiful card that's within my range of affordability. And again, just to pick 3 cards I wanted was like practically impossible.
Yeah.
That one's high on my list that I'd like to get. Yeah,
it's a great looking card. The one of the things I've been trying to do is collect Mickey Mantle card from every year, and 52 Bowman. I'm going to go Bowman with 52. So that the 52 Bowman I've been kind of looking at, and I'm thinking maybe I wait till the National. If I hopefully go to the National in Chicago next year, maybe that could be a card that I could try to pick up at the National, 52 Bowman. But we'll see.
I know some people have the philosophy that they want to buy a special card at the National to remember it by. And I've picked up some great cards at the National, but I'm a firm believer let's say I wanted that 52 Bowman Mantle, and I found one this week, and I really like it, and it's a really great price. I'm not waiting for the National to buy it. It's
True.
like, it's not that important to me.
Right.
And I'm not trying to, belittle anyone who's looking to get a special card at the National, because I understand it, because there's guys too that just like to see the card in person, especially a card like the 52 Mantle.
Right.
It's like I don't trust it on eBay or an auction site. So I do have a question for you, and maybe I missed this on one of your videos. You're a New England guy, but you like Mickey Mantle.
Yeah. It's a little strange.
Ted Williams or Carl Yastrzemski, or what am I missing here?
Yeah, with me, it's not. I'm a fan of all those guys, but the Mantle thing ties back to my dad. My dad, he's from Massachusetts too, but strangely enough, he grew up. He liked the Red Sox, but
Right.
he was just a big, huge Mickey Mantle fan.
Okay.
His dad was a Mantle fan, and he actually went to Yankee Stadium when he was a kid and saw Mantle play. And
Oh, really?
yeah, and growing up, he was just he would fill my head with the story of Mickey Mantle. Not that, a lot of people get confused now, especially new people to cards, where they think Mickey Mantle's the GOAT, where they think Mickey Mantle was the best player ever, and that's why his cards. He wasn't Babe Ruth, but he could have been. So the whole story of like what could have been and how he didn't take care of himself, and just all the Mantle stories. He filled my head with those growing up,
Okay.
and that when I see a Mickey Mantle card, I think of my dad. So, and I'm lucky I still have my dad here, but that is where it ties back to.
Okay.
And obviously,
sense.
Mantle's a fun guy to collect too. He's got some
right.
cool stuff. Let me pull up the third one. All right. So here it is. We got the 1911 T3 Turkey Red cabinet number 46, safe at third.
Yeah. So I only found out about this card a week ago, to be honest with you. And it was on a video. Tony JP Wisco was doing a VR for Eric Four-Leaf Cards, Most Beautiful Cards, and he's shown this card. I'd never seen it before, and I love art, baseball art, and I love this card. And I'm guessing it's Pie Trainer at third base there, and he had mentioned the mill in the background. And Pittsburgh used to be a big steel mill town. People think there's still mills everywhere, and they're now hospitals and parks and bike paths and things. And he mentioned in his comment or his video that it looked like the mill was about to shut down, which the mills never shut down. They ran 24/7. But I loved, it looks like a sunset, but honestly, from what I was told when I was little, like it was so bright in the city from all the fire and steel mills. Maybe that's what that is in the background. And just to have the dirt kicking up and a pirate third, I just love that card. And I didn't know about it until a week ago, and it instantly jumped up high on my list of something I want. And I don't have any of these cards, and I just think it's beautiful.
It is. I learned about it from YouTube too. I can't remember. It was probably a few months back, but yeah, just the image. Like, honestly, I didn't even know who the players were, or it was like I don't even care. It was just like that image alone, kind of like the Pee Wee Reese 53 Bowman.
Right.
Pee Wee Reese,
right.
Same feel where it's just like, I mean, Pee Wee Reese is a great player, but just the image, regardless of who the player is like iconic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, not only is it really cool, but it's where I'm from. It looks like it's Pittsburgh back in the day. I'm guessing it's Pie Trainer, the third baseman. I don't know who's sliding in the third there, and I could be wrong on that being Pie Trainer. It's just a guess. I don't know what the back says. I've never looked at the back of it. If it goes into detail, I just think it's just baseball history, baseball art.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. So yeah, it says number 46, right? Prominent baseball players. Yeah, and it just lists a bunch of players. Yeah, checklist. Yep.
Does it have a number next to it? Like that's number 46. Is it?
Or
does it just say safe at third or whatever the card's?
Let me see. I'll find it. Yeah, no, it just says safe at third, 46. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't name the players. But
it doesn't matter. Like I don't care who the player is. I just like the overall card.
But I guarantee if we throw it out there, anyone watching, let us know in the comments who these players are.
I'm sure people know.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Don, at the end of these, I like to see if you can throw out a mention of another channel that you think would be interested in doing one of these 3 and 3s. So if you got anybody, that would be great.
Again, there's so many guys. One of the guys I know has already been mentioned was Jim S. But two of the guys I mentioned to you earlier, George, Diamond Yard Sports Cards, fabulous collection, great guy to talk to, very knowledgeable. He'd be great on here. And the second guy I would mention is Alex Bowman 53. Not a huge collection, but what he has is fantastic. And like, I'm one of those guys, like I said, I just saw that card a week ago and I want it. He puts a lot of time and thought and effort into what cards he's going to purchase. So what he gets is really cool. And, but there's always a great story behind it. And I'm not sure if you watched his videos or not.
I've seen him. He does a lot of live streams.
He does, but the quality of his videos, and I mean, he does that for a living, but, and I've actually met all three of those guys in person. Just great guys. And for me, I like people that have a story behind their cards or a little bit of history, and I think you'll get that with them. So, go from there. I know you say pick one, but
3's great. 3's better than 1. Perfect. Now because I'm making a list, and I try to do one of these a week if I can.
Right.
I get making a good list, and I think I found out about your channel along with George at the same time when you were doing those videos with Mike Baseball Collector, where you're going through your 50s,
60s, and 70s.
Those were so good.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time I found out about your channel and George too. Okay. So
that was a ton of fun. Like, we were all laughing. We kind of withdraw symptoms after it was over because we just wanted to keep going. It was so much fun.
Another one? What else can we do?
And I actually had to bow out because they did the 80s, and I didn't want to ruin it. Like, I collected up until like 83, 84, and I just was not. I didn't know enough about it. I didn't feel like I would do a good job talking to the 80s. So I forget who they got to go in with them. I think, it was Joe Silverjacket. So the three of them did the 80s, but the 56 and 70s, it was so much fun.
Well, Don, hey, man, I can't think. This was the first time I ever got to talk to you.
Yeah.
And it was really, really fun. I appreciate you coming on. And if I can make it to Chicago, will you be there at the National?
Yeah. Be there this year. I'm easy to find. I'm kind of tall, so.
Yeah. I noticed that. I watched some of the videos from this year's, and I was like, wow, he's tall.
Yeah, I'm 6'5", so.
Wow, nice.
All right. Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on. I've been watching all of these, and you're another guy. I like what you do. This is cool. It's unique, something different than what anyone else does. So that makes it a lot of fun. And to be honest, I'm not sure how or where I found you, but I did a few months ago, and I'm glad you're part of this card community because it's so much fun. I don't know if you've met anyone in person yet, but once you do, I'm very lucky. I've probably met 40 of these guys.
Wow.
And I'm fortunate that a couple live close to me. So we've gone to some local shows. And I've said this before, everyone that I've met has been like they are on their channel. And you'll see the same thing. So I think you're a great addition to the card community. Not that I'm the overseer of it or anything like that, but I think you bring a lot. And I was excited when I got the message from you to come on here because this was something I was like, that'd be cool to do. So,
man, that means a lot. I'm just happy anyone wants to talk to me. So I appreciate it.
Man, I guarantee you probably got a line waiting to get on. So.
Oh, well, I agree. It's a great community. I haven't been in as long as you, but I can already tell that. And thanks again. This was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Thanks, Adam.